Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Abe with MysticGenmara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And tonight, whenever you happen to be hearing this, I would like to offer your elemental energy reading for the element of air. Air covers the zodiac signs of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And so if you're Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, or have air high up in your chart, this message is for you. There is a link in the description to a natal chart through Llewellyn. It's not sponsored or anything like that. It's just a little tool that if you're interested in, you can check out. The other links are affiliate links. Now we'll hop into your reading. And Air, you have... I cast the I-ching hexagrams before we do the videos, and air and water have the exact same one. I've never had this happen before, so we'll go with air because that's who we're talking to. But if you're interested in hearing what your sister sign might be having, you might check over onto the water one as well. But your title here is interesting. It's called The Traveler. It's hexagram 56. And the message, or the text says, "The Traveler, success in small matters. Persistence with regard to traveling brings good fortune." So there's a call to movement here for air. And it's this energy of things have been a little stagnant, or maybe they're just kind of boring. This month of August, there's going to be movement coming. And it's all dependent on how you play your cards as to how things play out, is what I'm getting. So our foundational line, bottom line here: trifling with unimportant matters, the traveler draws upon himself calamity. If you're going to be involved in something this next month, make sure it's something that you value. Don't just do something because, well, I could do this for the moment. That's probably not the best option. And it's saying here, trifling with unimportant matters. If it's not important to you and doesn't hold value to you, don't waste your time, is really what's coming out here. Our second place line: the traveler reaches an inn with his valuables still nestling safely in the bosom of his robes. He gains the loyalty of a young servant. As you're moving around, as long as you're sticking to and following the things that hold value to you, that's when you do come to that point where it's time to take a break and rest. You actually feel accomplished because you've done the things that are important to you. And it says he gains the loyalty of a young servant. And what that's talking about is because you were doing things the right way, the righteous path, if you will, this is why people are drawn to you, and you may end up meeting somebody new in August, especially if you're single, Air, so be aware that there's a lot of moving parts here. Our third place line: owing to the traveler's lack of caution, the inn is burnt down and he no longer enjoys the young servant's loyalty. Persistence now would lead to trouble. If you happen to let your ego get in the way, Air, things are not going to go well. Does that mean that you're going to fail? Probably not, because what I'm getting here is the success that's coming in will be easier if you stay focused on the right things and you take the right steps. If you happen to do a misstep and the inn gets burned down, your rest gets interrupted, that's probably not a bad thing, but it's also not the best option. So you want to make sure that you're making the right choices in the right time. So tap into your intuition, listen to your guides and guardians. That way, when you make your choices, you're making them from the best possible information. Our fourth place line: the traveler reaches a place where he obtains the money needed for his expenses, yet laments that there is no joy in his heart. That's what the focus is here, is doing the right thing for the right reason, following your bliss, following your joy, but doing things that hold value to you. Because if you're not, then you're going to lament that there's no joy in your heart. You're going to be upset because this is not feeding your soul. Well, Air, why would you do something that doesn't feed your soul? And that's the point of August, is reminding yourself you can do everything and your heart's desire, but if you're not doing it for the right reasons, what's the point? Like, everyone else can tell you, you must be a fill-in-the-blank position, so you have to go to doctor school and 12 years of that and all this debt and everything else. You get out, you're miserable because this is not what you wanted to do. The traveler reaches a place where he obtains the money needed. You may have success by not following your heart, but you're going to lament that there's no joy because it's not what you want to do, and it's not following your heart's desires. That doesn't mean, go do frivolous things, but it's saying if you're not enjoying what you're doing, maybe it's time to look for something different. The fifth place line, while pheasant shooting, he loses an arrow. In the end, he wins praise and attains to office. I love some of the old references. Pheasant shooting, you always wanted to make sure you saved your arrows. You never wanted to misfire and lose an arrow. Those things were expensive back in the day. But he loses one. But because he was a good shot everywhere else, he wins praise, which allows him to aspire to a higher office. So you may be doing stuff and you might think you messed up, or you might have missed an opportunity, but in reality you're going to end up better. So if you're at applying for a job and you're in your interview and you say something a little untoward, which does happen, because you were honest and you apologized, or took care of it, that's actually going to do better for you. Or if you're in a social situation, and as long as you're being truthful to your soul, your morals, ethics, and values, you're going to end up in a better place. The attainment to office is usually talking about work or government or something like that. So if you're being upfront and honest and clean and transparent, a big buzzword there, that's what's going to work out better for you. So our capstone, our top one, a bird manages to burn its own nest. At first, the traveler laughs, but then has cause to shout and weep. A cow is lost through carelessness, misfortune. Just because you're watching someone else's successes up and down and fail, that's that ego getting in the way again. You want to be careful of that, because there's a loss of a cow, meaning you lost something that was actually bringing in money because you were so focused on watching someone else's ups and downs and chaos, that reality TV thing. Air, pay attention to what you got going on your own side of the fence. Let them deal with what they're dealing with, and if you're not involved, you can stay focused on the things that are actually valuable to you. And that's the energy that's coming in here from the I-ching. We'll hop into the cards. But the energy I'm getting right here is really about stay focused on what you hold important. If someone else is holding it important, that's fine for them. But why would you put your energy and effort into something that's for someone else's value? Now, if you're in a partnership, like you have a spouse, and they hold value on something, obviously you're going to put value in it because it's your spouse. But if it's like a random coworker or someone you just met, and they have this big value and they expect you have to hold value because I hold value. No. You held your value over there. I'll hold mine over here. Because you can get distracted, you can get wrapped up in stuff, and we like to be social creatures, and so with everyone else is doing it, we'll follow. Sometimes that's not a good thing, though. Lemmings do that too, and see how that plays out. So with that, Air, we'll hop over to your cards. I like to go week by week. There's about 4 weeks in August. Each week we look at a guide or guardian, a message from source, and then a little more clarity from the tarot. And I read intuitively, so if you see or sense something different from the cards, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. While you're down there, hit that like button, subscribe, all that good internet stuff. And with that, we'll start off with your first week's guide or guardian, and it is the angel Kaliel, and your stone is polychrome jasper. I'm not exactly sure what kind of jasper that is. And the title is Sacred Play. You have integrity and an unwavering commitment to your highest purpose. You embrace playfulness as a path of creativity, healing, and inspiration. Choosing to laugh opens you to a loving, protective, and replenishing source of spiritual energy. Deep within your being, there's an eternal wellspring of lightness and joy, and a snort laugh-inducing sense of humor. As part of your spiritual practice, you cultivate a willingness to laugh, so the lightness of your spirit helps enlighten the world. Air, you are being called to have fun this month and go after the things that hold value. And it's not just monetary. It's not just about the dollar bills or any of that stuff. Sometimes the values are way more important, like a partnership, like a spouse. Those things that have value that you could not possibly have gained elsewhere. That's the value of what we're talking about. It's not just money. So if you have been chasing the money because that's what you were told to do, and you're miserable, maybe it's time to see what else is out there. And your message from Source is number 62, the Will-O-Wisp, which is treasures hidden in the shadows. This is a call to do some shadow work. The first week of August is probably not what you would think of, oh, I'm going to do shadow work that time. But what this is saying is sometimes the best treasures are the things that you have always repressed, the things that you were told weren't good enough. And that's why your shadow carries so many things in it that we feel might be bad or dangerous or risky or whatever. But the reality is, your shadow carries all your treasures. Treasures are things that you were told weren't good enough, things that you were made to feel shame about, whether it was the type of person that you're attracted to, whether it was a type of skill set that you were always interested in. Like an example for me was, I was always told that being obsessed with spirituality outside of the religious box that I was raised in was a bad thing. No, it wasn't. That's just because they didn't agree with it. But I had to go through shadow work to figure that out, because I was told that from a very young age. And there's other things, and I know people who, their sexuality, they were shoved in their shadow, and then it became a monster. When they accepted it, all of a sudden things opened up for them. And that's where this is being called. The treasures are hidden in your shadows. Debbie Ford, she passed away a few years ago. She's another good resource if you want. She did a book called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, and it talks about that. Like, you put all this stuff in your shadow to get away from it, and all you did is create your own monster. So the Will-O-the-Wisp is really saying, take your monster down a peg or three and figure out what treasures are really hidden in there. Your message from the tarot is the Eight of Autumn. Do more research before proceeding. Education in the form of seminars, going back to school, or apprenticeships, excellent craftsmanship, and long-term projects. This is where you're headed. You're headed towards learning, education, growth, spirituality. You're ready to turn into something different. Doing your research is actually part of that transition and moving, because when you start researching, when you start looking into stuff, you start breaking the stagnation. When you start doing that, it wakes up the part of your soul that was like, hello, I'm here, I need food. When you start doing things for your own better interests, and that's not a selfish thing. If you're doing it just to be like, I'm going to be better than someone else, that's the wrong reason. I'm doing this because it feels right for me. That's what you're looking for. And you'll know what that is when you click on that situation, and it's like, there we go. It's like a muscle relaxes. Like you start working in a kitchen when you've always wanted to do it, but you were told they don't make any money. Well, you start making pastries, and all of a sudden you're making money, and you're happy because you've started your business. You're doing your thing. That's what I'm talking about. Your second week is Angel Lahabiel, and the stone is black tourmaline with purification is your message. You courageously choose to let go and embrace healing and renewal. You release and surrender with perfect trust. You are cleansed through a powerful outpouring of spiritual grace. Spaciousness now opens within you, beneath you, around you, and in front of you. With this clean, clear space, that which is outmoded is absorbed and reborn as unlimited potential for manifesting new sacred things. Now is a time of potential and grace, which you amplify and activate through relaxation and release. You are blessed with the spiritual cleansing and divine protection to begin again. You're continuing your journey in this second week, and it's because you've started poking at things in the first week. You've started opening a Pandora's box, so to speak, but you're doing so in the way of, what is my best option? What is the next thing that I need to understand about myself to be able to move forward in a healthy way? First things first, you're never going to get rid of your shadow. You're never going to be done with this kind of work. You're going to keep learning, and as you learn, you improve how you view yourself. You learn how to view others in compassion, and that's what's coming up. And in the second week, because you're doing this work and you're ready to clear things out and you're doing the right things, that art of purification starts to form itself around you, and it releases. So you're not carrying the dark anymore. You found the treasure, you've cleaned it off, and now you're in a better place. So you're purifying and cleansing out the stuff that doesn't work for you. Your week's message from Source is number 15, the Dust Devil, moving out of stagnation. And that's why you do the research in the first week. That's why you start to poke at your shadow. That's why you do all of that work, is because it's time to move outside of stagnation. It's time to move beyond the feeling of being stuck. And sometimes it literally takes nothing more than picking up a book, going to the library, getting an encyclopedia. You can do it online too. I'm just old school, so that's how I do it. And when you start to research and you start to look into the stuff that you used to enjoy, it opens up another part of you. If you used to love to read different novels, sci-fi, whatever, or write poetry or whatever, go back to doing that. And then when the guilt comes up, be like, no, that's someone else's problem because they told me this. I'm not going to be that way. I'm going to enjoy the simple things that I used to enjoy. So take the time to do that. Your message from Source, or from the tarot, is the Queen of Summer, loving, comforting, emotional, and intuitive, listening to your heart. Couldn't say that better. Intuitive insights you can trust, taking care of others, sometimes too much. When you quit taking care of yourself because you're dedicating all your time to others, eventually you're going to empty your cup completely. And you've heard the phrase before, how do you pour from an empty cup? How would you do that? You can't. Because when the cup is empty and it dries out, you dry up. And then you start getting more into that jaded side of life. Which happens. But I feel like in August, Air, you're being given the opportunity to shift away from that. Turn into something that's a bit more of who you really are. And that's going to be different for every person watching this. So don't think that I'm going to say, you're going to become. That's not what we're doing here. It's going to open up doors for you as an individual to examine and to explore your own sacredness and move into that more. Your third week's guide or guardian is the goddess Lakshmi. Ooh, this is fun. And the stone is dendritic agate. This is such a fun stone. It's this guy right there. And the title is called Her Golden Grace. Enlightenment, prosperity, goodness, and grace flow through and around you. It is through your soul. It is as though your soul dances in soft golden honey-like energy, abundant with nourishment and healing properties. Through her gentleness, the goddess offers your soul an irresistible invitation to receive her blessings and emanate the beauty of the divine. There is a gentler way through which you make even greater spiritual progress. You joyfully and peacefully accept this path and allow your heart to let go. The I-ching talks about an inn where you take a rest because you're inspiring others, and sometimes you just need to take a break. When you do that, if you're following your intuition, you're following that sacred divine, especially the divine feminine in this aspect, you're going to do this at the best possible time for the best possible reason, and that's when you draw others to you. You draw them to you because they are ready to hear what it is you have to say, or they are just willing to work with you as you wander along this path we call life. If you don't choose to listen to that, that's when you burn the inn down accidentally. So you want to make sure you're in that vibe, and it's not going to be easy. I'm not saying everyone's just going to have this wake up one day and they're going to have it, but put out the effort, put in the intention, seek out the divine guidance, and see where it leads you, especially this third week. Your message from Source is number 12, the Dragon's Hoard, protecting your future. This is really what you're doing this month. You're resetting. Instead of protecting someone else's future, you're protecting your own. Instead of playing and working for someone else's dream life, you're working for yours. How does that look for you, Air? Because everybody's going to have a different opinion. But what is your view? Not someone else's opinion, not someone else's view, not your mom, your dad, your uncle, your aunt, your pastor, your politician. What does your future look like? What do you want to create? And I know there's going to be people out there going, well, they won't let me. Take them out of the picture. What do you want to create? What do you want to build? What was that thing when you were 6 years old that you were so excited about? Being an astronaut, being a dragon tamer, whatever it is. What was that? Bring that back to the surface, and how would you imply that now? How would you work with that energy now? Because a lot of the times we never give up on our dreams, we shame ourselves into not believing in them anymore. This is the month to remove the shame, accept the fact that you had these dreams at one point, and see where you can go with that. Maybe you can write the next best children's story about a dragon tamer. There's been plenty of people who've done that. You might find yourself in a situation where you get to educate people on what rockets are. You don't know unless you look into it, but go back to what you used to love and enjoy and bring it back into the present. Your message from the tarot is the 3 of Spring. Plan your next steps with the eye to the long term. Have patience, there are more good things to come. Satisfaction from a job well done. This is the reward of doing the inner work. This is the reward of accepting and acknowledging that you have a shadow, and the lessons that it's offering are actually benefits for you. The 3 of Spring is the pat on the back for a job well done. This is what you're looking for. This is your success. This is your prize for doing the work. And by the 3rd week, I'm really feeling strongly for this one, Air. By the 3rd week, you're going to have at least a pretty clear idea of what that is going to look like. You may not have it in your hand just yet, but you know what you're heading for. And that's the important part, is knowing where you're headed. Your 4th week's guide or guardian is the Ascended Master Lao Tzu, and your stone is Zincsite. I do not know what the stone is. The title of the card is Descending Power. The drive to manifest your spiritual light is powerful and purposeful. Divine light is awakened in your body now. The creative fire in your soul shines into this world, bringing light and warmth to all who see you. You choose to live your soul's wisdom in simple, practical ways. You utilize your intention to become grounded and present. Increasing your inner radiance, you apply your spiritual principles to all aspects of your life, and your soul aspirations are realized. Air, it's time to look within. It's time to understand what is going on behind the scenes. It's time for you to accept who you are. Doesn't mean change, throw out the baby out with the bathwater, because you might have built some really important things here. But if it means you've given up your hobbies, your interests, the things that hold value to you, was it worth it? This reading this month is a little more serious, a little more dark, but it's because it's calling to the deeper part of you. It's time to make these changes. It's time to at least look at the possibility of these changes and see what kind of shift is being called forth here. Your message from source is number 58, the vanishing mirror, ego sublimation. It's time for you to step into your divine light. It's time for you to create the life that you truly want. It may not happen overnight, probably won't. But are you willing to take the next steps, Air? Are you willing to examine things? Are you willing to take the ego who's always telling you, well, so-and-so would not be okay with this? Okay, ego, I'm going to put you over here because you're being a brat, and you're going to live for your soul. That's a different thing. The ego is, I'm going to compare, I'm going to be better than, I'm going to do all this stuff. But when you let that go, who's looking in the mirror at you? You are. When you come to that point where the ego's little voice that's always squawking in your ear is shut up, then you can actually hear your own soul talking. And that soul is going to say things like, you know what, look at how far we've come. This is great. What are we doing next? Where are we headed? Oh, here's this shiny thing that we drug out of the past, like this love of writing poetry. So let's write a poem real quick. This will be fun. Even if no one else reads it. You're doing it for your own peace. You're doing it for your own joy. You're doing it because you want to do it. It holds value for you. It's not the ego going, well, no one's going to buy that. Who cares? Do it for you. So that's the kind of the energy that's coming in here for this 4th week with Source. Your message from the tarot is number 10, major arcana, so big life energy. It's the wheel. Delays are over, unexpected good luck, a new car or travel. Air, you're the traveler this month. This is your call to action. Delays are over, sudden or unexpected good luck. It's time for this shift to occur. You've been feeling stuck for a minute, I feel like. Not everybody, obviously, but there's this energy of kind of stagnation. Things weren't moving. The wheel's coming in and saying it's time to start spinning your gold. It's time for you to start creating your own life. It's time for you to look at where you're at, say, okay, this is where we're at. What can I use to build? What can I use to adjust? Doesn't mean quit your job and go, hang out in the middle of nowhere. It's saying, what can you do to shift back into a state where you actually love what you're doing, where you actually enjoy living as a person? Might be something as simple as turning off that TV. Could be something as simple as not having that gossip session at the water cooler. Depends on the person as to where you're going here. But what is going to uplift you? This month is a call to doing some deeper work, especially shadow work. It's also that reminder that it's time to break loose of some patterns, some things that just quit working for you because they weren't yours in the first place. So Air, I hope you have a blessed month of August. It looks like it's going to be an interesting one. There's going to be some growth potential here. I really do feel there's going to be some challenges, but they're challenges of other people's opinions. Your soul's been asking for this for a while, and now you're getting to hear it outside of your own head. So see how that plays out, and I will see you guys in the next video.